The matchup is epic, a writer's dream, the clash of champions, a resounding force, a creative genius, stunted in game one by the superlative Spurs.
Tim Duncan taking over here in the fourth quarter.
And by a changing of the guard at the point.
Parker will try one from half court, and that shot is good! A three-pointer for Tony Parker.
Now the Lakers must raise their game, for the Spurs intend on raising another banner. Game 2 next on TNT.
Yes, it is a festive time here in the River City, where they love their defending NBA champion, San Antonio Spurs. This is the hottest ticket in town. A capacity crowd better than 18,000 are making their way into the SBC Center for Game 2 of this best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal series. It's the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs, a matchup of the only two teams to win championships since the 1998 breakup of the Chicago Bulls. The Lakers winning 3 titles, the Spurs capturing 2 championships, including last season. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the Czar, Mike Fratello, and very nice of Steve Kerr to break away from his very busy schedule to rejoin us. Craig Sager will also be here in just a moment. Now, following the Laker loss to the Spurs in Game 1 on Sunday and that Laker breakdown in the fourth quarter, what do the Lakers have to do to get back in this series?
In Game 1, Kobe Bryant had big numbers, 31 points, 10 rebounds. But down the stretch in the fourth quarter, he was just 2 for 6 from the floor and had no assists. I would think, however, a bigger concern to Phil Jackson and the Lakers would be the involvement of Shaquille O'Neal in the half-court offense. The Spurs made a commitment to keep the ball out of Shaquille's hands as much as possible. They fronted him whenever possible. Poor decisions, along with poor passing, led to 11 fourth-quarter turnovers for the Lakers. They scored only 13 points. Tonight, expect the Lakers and Phil Jackson to try and get Shaquille O'Neal on the move a little bit more, flashing to the basketball. And then there were opportunities for the lob pass. They just have to recognize them a little bit better and do a better job of executing a lob pass.
All right, Steve, this is a San Antonio team that has won 16 in a row, and that includes 5 straight in the postseason. They're vying for a franchise record. They have been on a tear. Now, in Game 1 here on Sunday, Tim Duncan had his usual dominant performance, but it was the young point guard, Tony Parker, who has taken his game to another level.
He really has, Marv. In fact, he's been terrific throughout the playoffs, averaging almost 21 points, better than 8 assists. In fact, he's been so good that Greg Popovich recently said that the Spurs are becoming his team. And if his play in Game 1 of this series is any indication, this quickly could become Tony Parker's series. He absolutely dominated his counterpart, future Hall of Famer Gary Payton. Look at the numbers, 20 points, 9 assists for Parker. Payton really struggled and has shown quite a bit of frustration with his lack of productivity. But I think the key tonight, as is the key every night with this team, Parker's penetration opens up the Spurs offense, allows Duncan room to roam, and they have a chance to take control of this series here tonight.
Now, incredibly, Steve, the last time that the Spurs lost a game was March the 23rd at Minnesota, so they are gunning for 17 in a row. Coming up, it's Game 2 of the best of 7. Spurs hoping to take a 2-0 lead. Lakers looking to take it back to LA, tied at 1. We are ready to go here in San Antonio, Texas. Let's take a look at tonight's McDonald's starting lineups. First for the Lakers in the backcourt, Gary Payton hoping to turn it from the 1 of 8 from the field, only 3 assists in Game 1. Kobe Bryant, 31 points, 10 rebounds the other day, but shot only 10 of 26. Devin George, Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone on the front line. And look at the Spurs. Tony Parker, we talked about him at the start, playing so well. 20 points, 9 assists, only 1 turnover in 42 minutes. in game one. The defensive specialist, Bruce Bowen. Hedo Turkoglu's had his shooting problems recently. Rasho Nesterovic played very well in game one. And of course, Tim Duncan with a solid 30-point, 11-rebound performance. Let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Marv, clearly the story of the day in this playoff series was an article in this morning's San Antonio Express News in which Shaquille O'Neal's stepfather called out Kobe Bryant for not knowing how to play team basketball. Now, we've heard these comments before, even from Shaquille O'Neal himself. However, ever since their preseason blow-up, Shaq has been very careful in his criticism of Kobe. I asked him what he thought of today's article. He said, I just hope everybody downplays it. I asked Kobe. He appeared not interested, said he didn't know anything about it, which left it up to Phil Jackson to put things in perspective. He said, I think the players find it humorous. Just another blip on this year's Lakers radar screen.
All right, Craig, this all just adds to the many subplots surrounding the Lakers. Now Shaq's dad getting into it. That's a kick ball. So Bruce Bowen will put it in play as they change the clock. 14 seconds on the shot clock.
I think Phil Jackson does a great job of putting things in perspective. There's a nice way of wording things all the time. He really does. A little blip on the screen.
Blip on the screen. There have been many blips. Here is Turkoglu for three. And rebounded by O'Neal.
So many blips that they all just run together, and then you can't see any of them.
George gets it to Malone. And here is Payton. Bowen able to save it. Parker puts the speed on. Parker got hit by his own man. Nesterovic comes back to Parker, and it's deflected out. Last touch by the Lakers. Parker thought he was fouled. I actually think it was his own man that made the contact.
It was Nesterovic who actually ran into him, hit him, and knocked him off balance.
Here's Bowen wide open. Nesterovic able to hustle it down, and they can reset.
Oh, another slow start. Phil Jackson before the game said he expected both teams to play better after their less than stellar performances in game one.
Yes, Phil saying, well, San Antonio won the game, but they can't be that happy with the way they play. Nesterovic not able to hit, rebounded by Malone. And here's Payton setting up. Gary Payton, who has said on many occasions he wants to be able to attack Tony Parker. Malone to the rim.
Well, that's Payton's game. You saw on the fast break there, instead of pulling up for a shot, go down, post up Tony Parker, put him in a tough spot. That's what Gary Payton likes to do, pass out of that double team.
Turkoglu eluding George and scored. That's a two-pointer. He had a foot on the line.
Hedo Turkoglu was out here prior to the game a good 90 minutes ahead of time with one of the assistant coaches from San Antonio, just taking three-point shots over and over again from different spots on the floor, anticipating the looks he was going to get tonight.
Well, Hedo the other day 0 for 6 from the field. Here is Bryant curling in on Bowen, rebounded by Bryant, and Kobe with his first bucket.
Boy, he loves that left hand, doesn't he? He's really put that into his game this season, and he went to it again there on the baseline. So quick to the ball and gets his own rebound.
Parker, yes. Tony Parker was able to lose Gary Payton momentarily on the screen.
That's how teams try to play the Lakers offensively all year. Attack them on the screen and roll, make their big people come out and have to cover the point guard.
Here's Parker, accelerates, and scores again. Tony Parker put the speed on. Now here's pressure being shown by San Antonio.
Well, we talked about in the open the fourth quarter turnovers of the Lakers. That time Kobe got up in the air, thought he knew he was going to pass, and then when he suspended, there was no outlet. Another turnover, another 2 points for San Antonio.
Shaq with the tip. Shaquille O'Neal able to put it down, and we're tied at 6.
Very forceful move there by Shaq. You can see he's going to be very aggressive here tonight going to the rim.
Parker again breaks it down. He lost Payton once again on a screen.
It's interesting to me how Gary Payton, who for years was considered one of the best, if not the premier defensive guard, can't keep Parker in front of him. Here's a steal by San Antonio.
Turkoglu passed on the 3. Karl Malone saying that he could do a better job on on Tim Duncan. Duncan throws it back to Turkoglu and then tries to reestablish. Checking the clock. Down at 5 on the 24 and a foul on Malone. Now they say it's George reaching in.
Actually, Karl Malone anticipated very well, gave space on this, and gets a good clean swipe. The foul is called from George, helping down from the top. See Malone swipe, his is clean. It's George they call for the reach-in.
All right, Tim Duncan only 4 of 11 at the line in game 1. San Antonio was 9 for 21. They missed 9 of their first 10. And a huge cheer as Duncan is able to get the roll.
You can hear the crowd here just holding their breath every time he goes to the line. And I think especially early in the game, because Duncan, if he can make his first couple, will get a little confidence. You see him miss here. He just has a tendency to let it get to him. He struggles throughout the game. The crowd just can't stand it.
And a foul on the Spurs. It is on Turkoglu. I'm told that Greg Popovich used a drill last week. Each of his players had to make a consecutive number of free throws based on the number of letters in their last name. That's bad news for someone like Russell Nesterovic. Offensive foul on Malone. That would have been good news for you, Steve, although you never had a problem at the line.
It would have been pretty easy. I think Nesterovic was there about 3 days, as we see the elbow from Malone. That's a familiar sight. He likes to use those elbows, not always blatantly, but to clear space for himself. If you get a face or a jaw in there, that's pretty painful.
4 minutes gone by. Spurs have a 9-6 lead.
Little dialogue going on down the low block there between Karl Malone and Tim Duncan. I don't think it was, I'm sorry that I hit you.
Tony Parker showing tremendous confidence. 4 of 5 from the field, 9 points.
Remember, he came into this game shooting 58% from the three-point line in the playoffs.
Here's Malone over Duncan. Karl Malone cuts it to a 4-point San Antonio lead. Spurs at 57-25 in the regular season. They've won 16 in a row, last 11 during the regular campaign, then 5 straight in the postseason. Hedo Turkoglu feeling it after the 0 for 6 has not shot particularly well the last few weeks, but showing some signs here at the start. Bryant with the step. Kobe not able to hit. Rebounded by O'Neal. It counts. And the foul.
But you had 2 good plays there. Kobe made a nice move to get to the baseline. Nobody rotated over. He misses the reverse layup. But Shaq, in the meantime, as Nesterovic comes on over to block it, and Duncan's in there, Shaq with the follow-up and the finish. Two-handed. Fouled on the finish. Goes to the line to try and make it a 3-point play.
Crowd reacts as Manu Ginobili, who has had a superb season, comes on for Hedo Turkoglu. Turkoglu leads with 2 field goals, 4 points.
It's too bad, Mark, because you mentioned last game how he had the poor shooting performance. He got off to a 2 for 3 start here tonight, but picks up the 2 quick fouls. He has to sit down.
Parker for 3.
That's a heat check right there. Maybe not a great shot, but when you're 4 for 5, you're feeling it. Let it fly, see what happens.
Here's Devin George from downtown. Hit a couple the other day. Owen gets it. Downloaded Duncan. Here's the double on Duncan. They go right back to him on the handoff. He has Parker. Nesterovic going glass.
Did he call glass? I don't think so, Mike. What do you think?
You were right in line with him, and I thought you knew right away it was going to go in. Long off the glass.
Long and left and in.
And a 3-second violation call.
That was a play that was called, or a violation that was called several times in game 1. Phil Jackson thought that the team was very discouraged by that. Same thing going on here tonight.
So, fast start by the Spurs. They actually missed their first 5 shots. They've hit 7 of their last 8. They lead by 6. The 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT have been brought to you by Goodyear Assurance, featuring triple tread technology. By Verizon Wireless, sign up for America's Choice Family Share Plan. Verizon Wireless, they never stop working for you. By McDonald's, they're loving it. And by Miller, vote Miller for president of beers. Good call. The Los Angeles Lakers having the same problems that they had, in particular in the fourth quarter. In game one, they have already turned it over 4 times.
There were a number of questionable 3-second calls in game number 1. Let's watch. Even though it's slow motion, we're going to watch the shot clock for when Shaq gets in the 3-second lane. 21, hold it right there. There's 21. So when it gets down to 18, then that will be 3 seconds. Shaq is in the 3-second area. He's still in the 3. The front right there keeps him in it. By fronting him, he can't get out. It's 18, 17, 16. That's 5 seconds. The whistle blows. Definitely a 3-second call.
It was a 6-second call, wasn't it?
Well, it's a legitimate call by the official that time.
Maybe Greg Popovich should thank Jeff Van Gundy for that call. Shaq was not called for any of them in the Houston series.
What a beautiful pass. Tony Parker with another bucket. He has 11. Parker going backdoor. Spurs with an 18-10 lead. 5:45 to play in this first quarter. Marv Albert, the Czar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, and Craig Sager from San Antonio. Shot clock down to 5. Here is Shaq. Spurs swarming all over the board. Ginobili taking the distance. And over the head.
Marv, this is where the Spurs have changed as a team in the last couple of years. They didn't used to have the explosiveness of Parker and Ginobili on the break. Now they have a whole new dynamic offensively.
Lakers down by 10. Bryant with the step, nowhere to go. How to give it up. Another Laker turnover.
And from our angle, I could see what Karl Malone was thinking. He saw Shaq on the inside. He tried to lead Shaq to his left hand. Shaq not anticipating the drop-off pass. Didn't get that arm out and go for the ball. It's another turnover.
Now Greg Popovich sending on the one-time Laker, Robert Horry. Very quiet start for Tim Duncan, but that's because of the explosiveness that we've seen from Tony Parker. Duncan attempted only 1 shot. Ginobili's pass broken up.
I think that's the way Greg Popovich likes it. When this game starts out and his other guys get involved, and Tim Duncan maybe gets off to a slow start, no big deal. Tim's going to get his.
And that is a 2-shot foul. The ball had not been inbounded. A holding foul on Kobe Bryant.
Bowen tries to backcut Kobe Bryant. The ball is still out of bounds in the passer's hands. Bryant kind of straightens him up, forearm shiver type of move by Bryant so he doesn't get beat on the back door. If the ball hasn't been released by the passer, you get 2 shots when it's out of bounds.
Bowen only a 58% free throw shooter.
On the out of bounds play, watch Bryant there. Bowen starts a fake, go back door. There's the straightening up of Bryant with the body block. That's what it's called.
Spurs now 1 of 3 at the line. We asked Greg Popovich earlier, what'd you do the last couple of days regarding free throw shooting? He said, I sent him home. I don't even want him thinking about it.
And he said, you know, any free throw that actually goes in is just gravy. He said, I just elbow PJ Carlesimo next to me, and I say, you know, did you see that one? We made one. How about that?
21-10, San Antonio, 4.5 remaining on the first. Malone. Mustarovich on the box out, could not handle, but Payton lost it. The ball back to the Spurs.
5 turnovers for the Lakers. No turnovers right now for San Antonio.
Parker and Ginobili in the backcourt. Mustarovich, Horry, and Bowen up front. Here's Horry for 3. Robert Horry from downtown. He shot the ball exceptionally well in the series against Memphis. Phil Jackson wants to talk, and he's upset with Devin George, who did not react to Horry.
Well, this is a familiar spot for Phil Jackson to see Robert Horry out behind the three-point line. The difference is he's got a different color uniform on right now. Instead of the Laker uniform, that's a Spur uniform. Horry hitting the big three. The reaction from the Spurs bench.
Human life means nothing to these people.
There's an active cell in
I
place.
know about the subways.
Juliana Margulies, Dylan McDermott.
Our cell versus their cell. I like it.
The Grid, coming this July exclusively on TNT.
It has been a sparkling start by Tony Parker, the 28th pick in the first round of the 2001 draft. He'd been playing professionally in France since he was 15 years of age, and he has come so far.
He really has, and he's scoring in a variety of ways here. You see him off the screen and roll, and then this is where he's really dangerous in transition, just using his speed. And then look at Shaq on this screen and roll. This is why teams try to attack the Lakers with that high screen. Shaq doesn't want to go all the way out to the three-point line, and with Parker up near 60% from three in the playoffs, you can expect more of that from the Spurs tonight.
I think what this is telling you right here is where they left off last game. That's right where they picked up this game. The Spurs defense forcing turnovers. Look at that. Minus 13, minus 14 right now.
Phil Jackson has made some changes. Bryant with a spectacular move. Kobe Bryant spinning his way. Rick Fox and Derek Fisher have checked in for the first time. Fisher replacing Peyton.
I think he's gone with these two guys because they're used to running this offense. He's hoping for better execution.
Foul on Fisher.
Lakers coming out of the timeout. Phil Jackson getting the ball in Kobe Bryant's hands, kind of giving him some space, type of isolation for Kobe, who winds up backing down Bowen, reversing for the layup.
Spurs in the midst of an 18-6 run. Foul is called on O'Neal. A hacking foul will put Bowen back at the line.
Shaq's got to be a little smarter than that because this is Bowen shooting the ball. This isn't not a pure jump shooter. The fake gets Shaq up in the air. He can stay down to the last second with Bowen, still challenge and affect his shot.
So Bowen is 1 of 3 at the line, and the Spurs now 2 for 5. Get an all-access look at the NBA playoffs. Tune in to the NBA TV playoff show, Destination Finals, every weeknight, 6 o'clock, only on NBA TV. These are the 2 worst free throw shooting teams in the NBA. And what makes that so unusual, it's 2 of the best teams in the league. Can you ever recall a situation like this?
No, you know, maybe any team that Wilt Chamberlain was on during his career. But
Bryant going behind the back and gives it up. Here's Fisher for 3. Yes! Derek Fisher from downtown.
you can see right away better execution with Fox and Fisher on the floor. They space the floor. They give Kobe room to penetrate. And when he does have a passing situation, they can both knock down that shot.
San Antonio's lead is 9. Parker wide open for 3. Yes!
Unbelievable.
6 of 8 from the field. That's his second 3. He has 14 points.
You mentioned it. He's shooting 57% coming in. He's knocked down a couple more here. That's an incredible percentage from the three-point line.
2.5 to play. In this first quarter, Ginobili almost took it away to foul on Ginobili, although he got the worst of that.
No, he's upset with the call, but he really was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Bernie Fryer had to make the call. He ends up undercutting Derek Fisher. He makes a nice deflection here, but in putting himself in that position, he gets right in front of Fisher. Nice call by the official.
Evan Brown has checked in for the first time. That's a traveling violation on O'Neal.
That's that Bloody Divac two-step. The Euro two-step. He didn't get away with it, though.
6 turnovers for the Lakers. Spurs do not have any. Evan Brown providing good minutes in game 1. Hit 3 of 4 in 14 minutes of play. Here's Parker for 3. Duncan, who just checked back in, is right there.
Nice pass.
San Antonio has hit on 12 of their last 14 shots, and they lead 29-15. O'Neal able to get it down low on the post, but could not take advantage.
You notice Tim Duncan is not fronting Shaq. He's playing behind Shaq. Obviously, he feels more comfortable playing Shaq that way.
And now O'Neal defending on Duncan. See the footwork by Duncan as he spins his way and gave it up, but Fox right there. Spurs get back. Bryant putting the move on Brown and knocked out of bounds by Bowen.
I think there's a lot of respect between these two guys. You read the papers during this series. Unlike a lot of players, Kobe does not complain about Bowen being dirty, and Bowen says nothing but great things about Kobe being an incredible player.
This Fisher from way downtown. Coming up on 1 minute to play in this opening quarter. So the crossover by Parker and another bucket. 16 points for Tony Parker.
Stunning. Just stunning.
I got to go back to the last possession. Why did Fisher take that shot? There was 18 seconds left on the 24-second clock. It was 8 feet behind the three-point line.
Foul on Duncan. That's his first.
He was feeling it, Mike. He knocked down the three, you know. Just a little heat check, that's all.
You see the bodies on the inside. There's Shaq trying to come to the ball. Duncan trying to slow him up, not allowing him to establish the position that he wants.
And now you'll see Ori on him because they don't want Duncan to pick up his second.
Well, that time the fronting did not work as they got the lob on target to O'Neal.
The Lakers felt that there were enough times last game where the proper spacing was there, the lob pass was there, but I hate to say this, they just couldn't make a lob pass.
Why do you hate to say it?
Because you would think that at this level you could make a lob pass.
Hate to say it. Here's Parker.
It's your job. You're a broadcaster.
Yeah. What do you,
all right, I'll say it. They couldn't make a lob pass.
Get it out there. Don't you feel better now?
I do.
Half-minute left in this first quarter. Bryant. Fisher for three. And they can hold for final shot of the quarter.
This is another area where Parker has matured. In the past, he might have taken that thing all the way to the rim. Much better clock and game management as a point guard these days for Tony Parker.
End of game one, 7-point difference for San Antonio. Right now, it's 14.
Here's Duncan. 0.3 of a second remaining in this first quarter. The San Antonio Spurs with a 33-17 lead on the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Tony Parker. 7 of 11, 2 from downtown, 16 points. The Spurs 14 of 22 from the field. That's after getting off to an 0 for 5 start. Our staff bringing you some San Antonio flavor as we welcome you back to the SBC Center. Spurs with a 33-17 lead on the Lakers. And what a stirring start for Tony Parker. Let's check in with Craig.
Well, Coach Popovich says that every day Tony Parker gets more like Avery Johnson. I asked him what he meant by that. He goes, the way he controls the game, the way he talks to his team, the way he's able to get Tim Duncan the ball when he needs to, the way he slows things down and picks things up. But no offense to Avery Johnson, but he never had a shooting performance like this. In fact, Tony Parker's 16 points right there. He was closing in on the all-time Spurs record for points in a quarter set by George Gervin. Gervin, the Iceman, had 20 points in a quarter back 26 years ago.
All right, Craig Parker, 7 of 11, 16 points, getting a rest right here as the second quarter gets underway. Jason Hart, 3-year man from Syracuse, has come on for Parker. Slava Medvedenko is in for the first time. They try to get a down low to Shaq, and this time a foul is called, a pushing foul on the Spurs. It is on Ori.
Another way that the Lakers try to break down the pressure of fronting Shaq in the low post. They flash a high post man, clear out the weak side. They try to throw high and then lob it down low.
Kareem Rush, second-year player from Missouri, has checked in for the first time. Here's Medvedenko. And Slava, a question mark with a strained Achilles tendon. He played only 9 minutes on Sunday.
Normally a very shy shooter, right? You know?
Yes, yeah, when? Yeah. Brown, Hart, Horry. Last touch by Fox. Spurs have 7 on the shot clock.
Steve, in the playoffs, throughout the playoffs for San Antonio, in the 5 previous games, Hart has really been a very, very consistent performer for them, beating out Charlie Ward, shooting 63% coming into tonight.
And really running the club well and doing a nice job in place of Tony Parker.
Right at the start of the year when Parker was down with that ankle problem, and Greg Popovich went with Shane Heel for a while. He had Ron Mercer, Anthony Carter. Here's O'Neal powering his way in. Shaquille O'Neal driving to the rim.
Duncan, you can see, a little wary of picking up that second foul, backing off Shaq a little bit.
That's intended for Horry, a foul on Medvedenko.
To me, there's no reason why this ball does not go into Shaq every time down the floor. And you see what San Antonio does to counter, put him on the defense against Duncan. But there's the power move. Who's going to stop him when he gets down that low? And here's what they do. Try and put Tim Duncan in a situation where he's isolated, make Shaq have to play defense at the other end.
The reality is, though, the Spurs have struggled over the years in that situation. Shaq has done a nice job when Duncan's facing up.
Beautiful pass by Nesterovic, finding Ginobili on the hop.
It's a wonderful passer. He's got such a great feel for the game. Reminds me a little bit of Tony Kukoc, that left hand, beautiful passing touch.
San Antonio up by 16 points. Here's O'Neal. Nice drop step move going right at Nesterovic.
Looks very active tonight, doesn't he? Moving much better, I think. Looks physically more able to do some damage out there tonight.
Shaq 5 of 8 now, 10 points. And he is certainly the guy with Kobe Bryant sitting down and getting a rest. He is the offense. O'Neal is up front with Medvedenko and Fox. Rush and Fisher in the backcourt. Rush. Rebound one-handed by Ginobili.
One of the things Phil Jackson used to do in Chicago is he would take Michael Jordan out of the game to run the offense better as Nesterovic scores on the break. He would feel like the offense would click a little bit because nobody would be focusing on Michael. I think Phil's doing the same thing here. Get Kobe out of there, make guys work a little bit and work together.
You can't throw a lob pass from 32 feet out. It just doesn't work that way. Too much time for the defense to recover. It's got to be too exact. Rick Fox, a veteran player, not a good decision on his part.
And it led to the fast break. Foul called on Fisher. That'll put Duncan back to the line.
You know why this happens? Ginobili has his head up. He notices the defensive man, Medvedenko, is not watching his man and the ball. There you see Medvedenko turned around. The catch and finish by Nesterovic.
Tim Duncan now 1 of 3 at the line. 2 years ago, Steve, it appeared that Tim Duncan had solved his problems at the free throw line. I remember him saying, well, I'm not thinking about things now. I'm just going up to the line. I'm shooting. Last year was inconsistent, and he dipped down again this season.
Yeah, he shot close to 80% 2 years ago, which was amazing given the struggles he's had during his career. But he's fallen back again this year. He's had some fundamental flaws. He tends to be very flat-footed on his free throw. The Spurs staff has tried to get him to get up onto his toes, but a big part of it is simply mental.
It's Medvedenko.
It's 2 years ago when you arrived to San Antonio to play, or that has no correlation, does it?
I don't think there's a connection there.
San Antonio up by 15 points. Here's Hart. Rush spinning, going 1-on-4. Crowd wanted to travel. Medvedenko again. Slava Medvedenko has come off the bench to hit 3 out of 3.
I love watching Slava play. He comes down and he shoots. He doesn't care what's going on. If he's open, he shoots. No conscience.
Steve, some guys are rebounders, some guys are passers, some guys are shot blockers. Slava will tell you, I'm a scorer.
Know who you are.
Duncan going at Medvedenko and draws the foul. Tim Duncan back to the foul line. A timeout is called. Medvedenko just picked up his second.
Ginobili backdoor, finish with the left-hand dunk. Welcome back, Spurs up 13. Let's watch the half-court execution of San Antonio against the Laker defense. Tony Parker with the basketball out in front, and it makes it look like he has these options. He can throw the ball over to Ginobili. Ginobili can enter the ball into Tim Duncan. Or, if he keeps his dribble alive, he can play a high pick and roll on this side of the floor with his big man, Nesterovic. As he goes left with the ball, hold it right there, Duncan notices that the ball went left, so Duncan starts to change sides of the floor, makes it an overload on this side. Instead, the ball gets thrown back to the big man, Nesterovic, stepping out. And now up on the wing, here's Ginobili, who fakes, runs the back door, and then you'll see the excellent backdoor pass from Nesterovic to Ginobili. Changing sides of the floor. The man is so concerned playing Duncan changing sides, he never has weak side help to protect the layup.
That's the type of motion that Greg Popovich really added to this team last season and really focused on this year. The type of movement, player movement, ball movement that would open up the floor and allow for players like Ginobili to break free.
Duncan now 3 of 5 at the line. Is Robert Horry for Rasho Nesterovic. Once again has done a nice job. Sits down with 4 points and 4 rebounds. I remember Rick Popovich telling us early in the year where San Antonio was struggling at the line. He said, you know, there have been so many games where just an average performance from the free throw line would have given us a win. He said at the time, it's about mid-season, if we were average at the line, we'd have 8 or 9 more victories. Bryant on a quick release, handled by Horry.
Well, you mentioned, Marvin, that both teams are poor free throw shooting teams. But for the Lakers, it's just Shaq. For the Spurs, it's Nesterovic, it's Duncan, it's Bowen, it's Horry. We've got a whole team full of poor foul shooters for San Antonio.
Reach and foul. As Harden cut to the basket, he was hit by Payton.
Foul was on Payton. And Steve, let me ask you this. Gary Payton elected to come to the Lakers, pick this team. Certain situations sometimes aren't right for a player. The system's not right. This is not the style of play that Gary Payton was used to, that he feels more comfortable in. And he's shooting only 33%, averaging just over 7 points per game. Could that be the problem, that the system is not the right one for him?
The triangle is not the right offense from Gary Payton. You think about the players who have excelled in that role, in that position for Phil Jackson over the years. Craig Hodges, John Paxson, DJ Armstrong, Derek Fisher. Shooters, guys who like to move without the ball, as we see right there. Payton forcing the offense. But he's not comfortable. He's a guy who likes to dominate the ball, go down on the post, and in this Lakers system, he doesn't do that.
Would add Steve Kerr to that.
Yes, we should add Kerr to that list of names.
That was Medvedenko's 3rd foul. But you would think Gary Payton obviously is looking to win a championship, but he had seen the Lakers often enough to assess in his own mind. I would think, can I play in the triangle? Can this be successful for me?
It's not that Gary's not willing to try and be part of the triangle. It's just that once he gets into it, his options that he had in Seattle all those years are not there for him in Los Angeles with this offense.
And Spurs have made their last 4 free throws. Reminder, tomorrow night on TNT, it is Game 1 between the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. Coverage starting 9 o'clock Eastern time. And then Sunday night on TNT, it's the Pistons and the Nets in Game 3 of their series. Coverage starting at 7:30 Eastern time. 43-27, San Antonio. It's under 7.5 to play in this first half. Marv Albert, the Czar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager. We're in San Antonio. That's Rush coming up short. Ginobili on the rebound. Tony Parker is back, so Parker and Ginobili in the backcourt. Here's Horry for 3. Hit one earlier. Payton able to reach for it.
Horry coming out aggressively here tonight. Did not score in Game 1. I thought he was very reluctant to shoot.
Foul is called, a blocking foul. Foul on Horry. That is his second.
Sometimes when it's going bad for you, you just can't get the roll. At the end, Payton keeps his head up. It's on the rim, but instead of rolling in, the ball rolls back out again. San Antonio feels that it should have been an offensive foul. Payton, after that 1-for-8 performance in game number 1, very happy to at least get the 2 opportunities at the line.
Been a rough couple of days for Gary Payton. On Monday, an hour late for practice. The team said it was due to personal reasons. He had called ahead, and then according to teammates, Gary did not have a sharp practice, walked off the floor 15 minutes early because of a sore lower back, and he's not been happy about not getting the green light to go right at Tony Parker. He feels he'd be much more effective that way. And the foul. It is on Kobe Bryant, a second.
I think that's going to be 3 shots, too, if I'm not mistaken. Is his foot on the line here? No, that's a three-pointer. He taps Ginobili on the elbow, and nice job by the officials. But, Marv, you mentioned Payton's unhappiness. This is one of the great competitors in the NBA. It's his competitive desire is legendary, and I think his frustration is boiling over because he's used to going back at guys. You know, if somebody scores on him, he goes right back at them. In this offense, you've got Kobe Bryant, you've got Shaquille O'Neal, you've got other options. He's not able to do that, and that's what's making him so frustrated.
See, they would play off of him all the time in Seattle. Here, you play off of Shaq, you play off of Kobe. It's a little different role.
And then Phil Jackson, when asked about it, said, we don't have to be on Gary's page. He has to be on our page. We're talking about 9-time All-Star. Number 6 man on the all-time assist list, Gary Payton. That's Payton, played by Parker. George posting on Turgler. Malone, off-balance shot. Nice box out by the Starvin. Parker with a teardrop. Tony Parker whipping by Shaquille O'Neal, and there was no help. I think he was surprised he got him that deep.
Well, who's going to... I mean, the first thing you learn on transition defense is stop the basketball. Who's stepping up to stop the ball?
I learned that at John Wooden basketball camp in 2nd grade.
Here's Kevin George from downtown.
I read that in John Wooden's book. Maybe that's where I got that from.
He taught a lot of us basketball, didn't he?
Parker way off, got glass. Greg Popovich taking a long walk in front of his bench. He was not happy with that last shot by Tony Parker.
Well, we talked about Tony Parker having to look at the rim as he comes down the ball, advances it. I'm not sure that he can believe this thing opens up. Hello, is there a dark jersey there? Karl Malone tries to step up at the last second to challenge the shot. Parker's eyes are getting bigger right now. He knows he's got an easy one. The teardrop.
The 2004 NBA Playoffs on TNT. Brought to you by Heineken. It's all about the beer. Heineken. And by NikeBasketball.com.
Welcome back to San Antonio. It's been a very emotional year for Karl Malone, whose mother Shirley suddenly passed away from a heart attack last August. His father died when he was just 5 years old. His mother meant everything to him. She taught him how to play basketball, how to fish, and how to survive. He tried to explain what the voidness meant last night at the team hotel to our own Jim Huber.
Until you lost a mom, whether you was close with her or not, when you lost a person that gave you life, you can't even describe it. And people come up to me and say, man, we understand where you're coming from. And I was like, okay, I understand, thank you. But have you lost a mom? Well, no, and I say, good, but I appreciate it. But then I talk to people that lost a mom, and I know what they're going through. So when that happened, I always try to reach out to them. But I carry this the rest of my life.
As emotional as Karl was last night, he was equally so today. The next game in this series is Sunday, Mother's Day. He said, I don't know how I'm going to play basketball, let alone get through the day.
All right, thank you, Craig. Here's Payton. Tipped home by O'Neal. Spurs looking for a call of offensive interference, but the official, Scott Foster, said no, it's good.
You saw Gary Payton shaking his head as he ran back as if to say, just can't catch a break. I can't even get a layup to roll in.
Well, the Lakers caught a break there, though. Shaq was definitely in the cylinder.
Nesterovic drills it. Russia on Nesterovic with the line drive shot. He's hit 3 for 4. Spurs 49, Lakers 33.
Steve, it's really interesting the way Nesterovic's numbers come so close to matching David Robinson's from last year when Robinson was here, both in the regular season and the playoffs.
Strong move by Malone. 6 points for Karl Malone.
I thought the Spurs would struggle a little bit in that spot without Robinson. He was obviously such a great defensive player, great shot blocker, but Nesterovic has really done a nice job filling that void.
It goes right down to even the minutes are very close, the amount of minutes they both played.
Shot clock down to 5, and Tim Duncan with his signature shot, the turnaround bank.
This is why it's so difficult to play San Antonio. You get Parker going, you get the fast break points, then all of a sudden the game slows down. What do? They throw it to the 2-time MVP.
O'Neal. Shaq has played well. Strong first half, 14 points, 7 of 10 from the field. Now here is Los Angeles shooting 52% from the field, and they're down by 14.
But you failed to mention the other guys are shooting 61% right now from the floor.
Now the 7 turnovers compared to just 1 for the Spurs has something to do with that too.
Duncan is fouled. Lakers have been to the line only 3 times. This will be free throws number 16 and 17 for San Antonio, although the Spurs are 8 of 15, which for San Antonio is not
pretty
horrible.
good.
Yes.
Pretty good. Over 50%, Marv.
Well, you look back at game 1, 9 of 21. Duncan was 4 of 11. He's hit 4 of his last 5 here this evening. He is on fire.
Relatively speaking, yes.
The guys kid Tim Duncan about the free throw shooting.
There's not much else you can kid him about. He is maybe the best basketball player on earth, certainly one of the top 2 or 3. But yeah, you know, he's the kind of guy who's able to laugh at himself, and the guys do joke around with him about it, and he takes it well.
Owen has done a good job on Bryant, but Kobe got it down low, and again it's Shaquille O'Neal. So the Spurs lead 52-39.
I think it's a big stretch here. Final 3.5 minutes here for the Lakers. If they can get this thing under double digits, they can at least feel somewhat good about themselves at halftime.
Shaq has hit all 5 of his shots in the second quarter.
There's the change in defense, Marv. That time you saw Shaq step out there and hedge on Tony Parker instead of opening up and letting Payton go through. They changed their defense on Parker.
And that's number 3 on Kobe Bryant. Tim Duncan back to the free throw line. He's 6 of 10 at the line. Looking at the foul rundown, Lakers have been called for 13 fouls in this first half. Spurs only 6.
You think Phil Jackson may say something about that after this game? He was surprisingly quiet after game 1. You know, normally when Phil Jackson loses a playoff game, you hear a lot of complaining about the officiating. Didn't say a whole lot, though.
I think he was upset with a couple of the 3-second violations that took place in the fourth quarter.
But he did make it clear that it was the Laker turnovers that were the story of the game.
Now he said, hey, we were unprofessional. We lost our poise, and you have to credit the aggressive style of San Antonio. So he did give the Spurs credit.
Much to the shock of the entire nation.
All right, here's O'Neal again.
When they empty it out that way, Shaq takes his time. He gets to that point. He's unstoppable right there.
18 points for Shaq, 9 for 12. Boy, he's been terrific tonight.
Offensive foul. As Tony Parker made his move, Ernie Fryer right on it, said, hey, he's pushing out. The ball back to the Lakers. 13-point San Antonio lead.
Welcome back to the playoffs on TNT. Ernie Johnson in Studio A. The Verizon Wireless halftime report comes your way in just a matter of moments. Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith will be here to break down the first half. We will also be talking to soon-to-be Hall of Famer Clyde Drexler. Right now, let's get back to SBC Center. Marv and Mike and Steve, guys.
All right, thanks, Ernie. Just a moment ago, an offensive foul was charged to Tony Parker. Here is the explanation from the official, Bernie Fryer.
Yeah.
Why was he doing that?
He grabbed him on the head.
No, why was he knocking his hand off? Because he had his hand on him. He was trying to knock his hand off.
Didn't slow him down, though, Jimmy.
Tim Duncan makes a pretty good point. Watch the defensive player, Derek Fisher. Watch his right hand holding. See it right there, holding. Now, here's where Parker reaches in and grabs Fisher's hand and knocks it away. So Duncan was questioning, why didn't you call the first foul, the hold, which led to the second one, which was the foul on Parker.
San Antonio's led by as many as 19. They're now up by 13 points, coming up on 2.5 to play in this first half as Shaq catches the lob. A foul is called on the Spurs, who made contact. It's Nesterovic committing his first.
They're doing such a good job. Look where Karl Malone is throwing the lob pass from, above the three-point line. It's such a tough pass to throw from that distance, and it's a straight line pass. He's right in line with Shaq. There's no angle on that one with the rim behind him.
Is there any other player in the NBA you could make that pass to?
He got away with Shaq that time, but no, that time, no.
Maybe Yao Ming, that's about it.
Here's Payton going to the left hand. Nice move by Payton, and the Lakers are down by only 11 despite hot shooting by San Antonio. They have connected on 20 of their last 28 shots. Czar, as you mentioned, they're over 60% from the field. Bowen is wide open. He could have counted to 5 before taking that shot.
And Ginobili had 3 people open who could have countered to 5, and that was the result of running that high screen and putting Shaq in that position again and having to come out and cover the perimeter.
Normally, you see someone flying at the shooter. Even if it's late, they're coming on a rotation. Nobody even came to Bowen that time.
Tripping foul. It is on Bowen. San Antonio's hit 4 of 8 from beyond the three-point line. Down to 1:36 remaining in this first half. Spurs looking to go up 2-0 in this best of 7. Lakers trying to take it back to Staples, even at 1. Game 3 is Sunday afternoon in LA. Game 4 next Tuesday night in LA on TNT. That'll be 10:30 Eastern time. Nice handoff by Malone. Payton is rejected by Nesterovic. Here comes Parker and pulls it up. The lob to Ginobili.
Wow, he knew exactly who he was passing the ball to and how high he could get up on it. Paused for a second, lobbed it up there. Ginobili went and got it and finished it.
And again, I don't think he had that patience last year or the year before.
Payton's pass picked off. Parker with Ginobili. Behind the back to Ginobili.
Well, so much for that nice close to the half for the Lakers. 2 quick turnovers, 2 easy baskets for San Antonio.
San Antonio by 18. O'Neal is fouled. He was hacked on Nesterovic as Shaq hit the floor.
You know, Steve, back in the beginning, you talked about this might wind up being Tony Parker's series. Look at this perfect pass to Ginobili, and then this is like a coming out party right here. I'll take it right. No, I won't. I'll throw it behind my back. Parker to Ginobili on the finish. It is turning into the Tony Parker show.
San Antonio with a 14-2 edge in fast break points. 17-3 in game 1. A result again of turnovers.
Shaq is 0 for 2 at the line here tonight. During the season, he was 49%. Crowd reacts as Kevin Willis checks in for Rusho Nesterovic, who sits down with 6 points and 5 rebounds. Shaq missing on both. 20-year veteran, 41-year-old Kevin Willis on the floor for the first time. Down to 35 seconds remaining in the half. Here's Ginobili, saw the opening. Fisher accelerating. That will count. Yes, and the foul. And the Spurs argue that it should not have been a continuation call.
Well, this is a big play in this game because Spurs could have gone up 20 on Ginobili's shot. Instead, at the other end, Derek Fisher pushes the ball. Bowen can't believe the call. Didn't look like a whole lot of contact, but now the Lakers with a chance at least to cut it to 15.
I think Robert Horry felt, the reason Horry was upset, he felt that Bowen fouled him way out by the foul line, that it shouldn't have been a basket. Yeah, okay, that we fouled him, but don't give him the basket and the free throw opportunity. He was fouled out high.
It was also Bowen's second, and of course San Antonio would love to have him able to use some fouls against Kobe in the second half.
Down to 26 seconds remaining in the half. 61-45 San Antonio. And a timeout, a 20-second timeout being used by the Spurs. So the Lakers are now 1 of 6 at the line with that miss by Fisher. I'll look at the schedule in this best of 7 Western Conference semifinal. They'll resume Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles, and then game 4 next Tuesday night at Staples in LA. We'll have that for you on TNT starting 10:30 Eastern time. This is the 5th time the Lakers and Spurs have met in the postseason since 1999. They split the previous 4 series, San Antonio beating LA in 6 last year in the Western Conference semifinals.
And I think this has been a big couple of years for San Antonio. You know, when Phil Jackson was there, as you see, these two teams have combined for the last 5, but Phil Jackson was responsible for those middle 3, and during that time I thought the Lakers had a huge mental edge over San Antonio. Remember the 4-game sweep that set all kinds of records in terms of point differential? I thought the Spurs had a mental block with the Lakers last year. Finally overcoming that, they look now like they actually believe they're a much better team.
You think the regular season this year had any message trying to be sent by the Lakers, beating 3 out of 4 games in the regular season?
I don't think it meant a lot because Duncan and Parker were both absent for a couple of those games.
Final seconds as Parker goes behind the back twice to find Duncan, who could not hit off glass. That'll be too late. So that's the end of the first half. And Derek Fisher, upset with himself, just fired the ball into the crowd. San Antonio Spurs with a 61-45 lead on the Los Angeles Lakers. At halftime, the Spurs shoot 59% from the field on 21 of 39. Tony Parker, 18 points, 8 of 13, a sensational first half. Let's go to Craig with Tony Parker.
Well, Tony, you tried to argue that last call. You thought you got fouled, and your coach Popovich dragged you off the floor. What did he say to you?
I don't like when we beg to referee, so he just pulled me out, you know, and get ready for the second half.
Why do you have so much confidence playing against the Lakers?
It's not just the Lakers, you know. It's been the last 2 months. It's just a result of me getting more mature, you know, and understand what Pops wants, and just be aggressive every night and be in attack mode.
You won an NBA title last year with Steve Kerr, but he mentioned tonight, he said some of the plays you're making, he didn't think you had the patience to do that last year. How do you explain how you see the whole court so much better?
The result of me getting mature, I think. I just see the floor better. I feel more comfortable on the court, and I'm just happy, you know, to play. I like my team, and I just be like very aggressive, and I feel very comfortable, and I got a lot of confidence now.
All right, thanks a lot. Back to you, Marv.
The 21-year-old going on 22, the mature Tony Parker, who led the way. Tim Duncan with 16 points, 11 in the second quarter. Shaquille O'Neal with 18, high man for the Lakers. Let's go to Ernie in our Atlanta studio.
Ernie. All right, thank you, Marv. In fact, Tony Parker will be turning 22 in just a couple of weeks here, and he has been the story. Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith here for the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. You saw what happened in Game 1 with all these end-to-end rushes by Tony Parker and hitting three-pointers, and then he's here in Game 2, guys. I mean, comes right out of the gate doing his thing. Jet?
Yeah, he gets to the basket at will, and then when you know what it reminds me of, Charles? A little bit of KJ. When Kevin Johnson was rolling with his jump shot, it makes it put so much pressure on the defense. But here the Lakers falling asleep, letting them go back door. Nobody help, no help side defense. And there's no way that one person can guard any one man in this league.
But I like the way Ernest says same thing since Sunday. Well, unless Gary Payton got younger since Sunday and Tim Duncan.
That would defy all laws if you did get younger as time went on.
You know, it's kind of funny to me when I sit here and watch this game. Tim Duncan's the best basketball player in the entire world. Other than Jason Kidd, Tony Parker. And he said something very interesting. It seems like in the last month, it kind of just kicked in. I remember the moment I became a great player, thanks to Rick Pitino, in my hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was watching him on SportsCenter. Something happened to Tony Parker. Now he realized that, man, I'm a great player. They can't stop me. I can get my shot. And some nights you're going to miss those shots, but once you're confident, like a lot of people at home say, oh, that guy's cocky, he's arrogant. That's the only thing separates you from the riffraff, thinking confidence. But they got no answers for Parker or Duncan. And Shaq's playing great tonight. He got his 18. But the thing is, even when Kobe Bryant had a monster game Sunday, I didn't think it was a great game because I think the Spurs would let him go 10 for 26 every game because he has to work so hard against Bruce Bowen, who other than Ron Artest is the best perimeter defender in the NBA. But also, then he bring in Ginobili and make him work twice as hard on the defensive end. And Kenny, even though he's ugly, he's right. He's right. The Spurs, they're just really athletic compared to the Spurs. I mean, excuse me, to the Lakers. They are really athletic, and the Lakers cannot match up.
Continue, Jet.
Let me just tell you something. I got a lot of compliments about people were saying we had the same suit on last night because Ernie tried to embarrass us.
I didn't try to embarrass you.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I pointed out that you did. But now you've got the suit I had on last night on. But anyway,
the consensus was, even though we had the same suit on, I looked a lot better.
You got a lot of ignorant friends. But anyway.
They were your friends. I call them your friends.
All right. If Tim Duncan, though, is the big fundamental, Tony Parker's the little fundamental. He understands what to do. And everyone's talking about Gary Payton. This is Derek Fisher getting moved by and getting taken to the basket and doing those things. The 1 and the 3 position, here it is, Ginobili. We said at the beginning, is not athletic for the Lakers, and that's the difference. The little fundamental. You never see him go behind his back. You never see him go through his
legs.
leg.
I hate when they say that. Because
he just does basic basketball.
Because I hate when they say that. Because they always say, because when you go back to the ghetto or the project where I'm from in the country, they're like, y'all can't stop Larry Bird. They used to call him the big fundamental. I think Larry Bird and Tim Duncan are the most underrated player. They talk about fundamentals. They can flat out get it done. It's got nothing. First of all, basketball is a very simple game. Just because you do it simple, that doesn't make you fundamental. That just make you not a hot dog. And those guys just do it the right way. And, they say, oh, he's the big fundamental. Hey, man, he is Kevin McHale, who's the best player I played against personally. He's just more athletic. It got nothing to do with fundamental. Them boys just be out there kicking ass.
But you know what they have to do with Tony, too? They got to start treating Tony like they treat big men, like they treat Tim Duncan. When he's in the backcourt, you got to double him, get the ball out of his hand. When he's on the pick and roll, you got to double him.
How do you think Tony Parker will react to just knocked him on his ass one time to take?
Well, we don't know because it ain't happened.
See, I would like to see it because the Lakers, you know what? There's the right way to play the game, which you do. But then there comes a time when a guy's like, in the zone, you just say, I'm going to just knock him on his ass.
But great players get up and make you pay for that.
But you know what? We don't know how Tony Parker will react.
Well, see if
That's what the Lakers got to do.
If they can catch him, let's see if they knock him down.
Exactly.
Parker with 18 in the first half. Duncan has 16 with 8 out of 12 from the foul line, much better than 4 out of 11 that he had in Game 1. When we come back, we'll be joined by a Hall of Famer to be and a former teammate of Kenny and Charles. Clyde the Glide joins us live next.
Where's he at?
I'll tell you in a minute.
The Halftime Report is brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the NBA.
Can you hear me now? Good.
The Verizon Wireless Halftime Report continues. Tonight in Springfield, Mass., the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame is hosting the NBA Legends Tour, and among those on hand, Clyde Drexler, who is in this year's class of inductees to the Hall of Fame, a former teammate of both Kenny and Charles, and having a big party up there in Springfield tonight. And there was a rare Kenny to Clyde. Was it not? That was nice.
That's the reason that kid is up there.
Clyde Drexler, we welcome you to the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. And number one, congratulations. I know it's going to be exciting for you in September when you are inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's where everybody who plays this game wants to be.
Thank you, Ernie. Any guy who's ever put on a jersey, that's the ultimate compliment to their game, and it's quite an honor. Thank you very much.
Hey, you know, Clyde, man, I used to watch you when I was a little kid with Phi Slama Jama. You know, I saw all those great years in Portland, and obviously you finished up winning the championship in Houston. You've had an unbelievable life. What's been the highlight of it for you, or is this it?
Well, basically, there have been a lot of highlights, Chuck. You and I both know it's an honor just to play in the NBA. It's the greatest game in the world. The highlight was just putting on an NBA uniform for the first time. And since then, there's been a lot more highlights. But the culmination is Springfield, Mass., right here in Massachusetts, the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Clyde, out of all of the accolades and all of the different things that's gone on, what would you say in terms of opponents, guys that you remember coming up that had an influence on what you've done?
There are a lot of opponents who are actually brought out the best in you. And there's some opponents who brought out the worst in you. But I love to play against the opponents who made me really think about the game, made me focus. It was a joy to play against the greatest players in the world. When Chuck was with Phoenix, we loved to play the Suns. Kenny, when you were with the Rockets, when you guys were champions in '94, it was an honor to play against the Rockets. And, of course, later on we all became teammates. But when you play against the best players in the league, in our league, and there are a lot of phenomenal players, as we all know, that's the joy of our league. It's the best sport in the world, and that's what motivates you.
You know, Clyde, you had obviously going back to college and finally getting back to Houston playing with Akeem. What did playing with Akeem in college, number one, and the NBA mean to you?
Well, first of all, in college, he was an awesome player, and we had a lot of success. And then coming back as a professional player with the Houston Rockets, what it meant was that I didn't have to play all the defense I had played in the years before. Because when you got Hakeem Olajuwon behind you, your defense, what I used to do is let guys by me, hang out at the free throw line, and wait for the ball to come back out.
You mean the other free throw line, don't you?
Hey, Clyde Drexler, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. And again, nice going on the Hall. And I know September will be a thrill for you.
Thank you, Ernie. And will you keep those two guys on the wraps, will you?
Hey, boy, congratulations. That's unbelievable. That's awesome.
No question.
Give me something doable, will you, Clyde? Back with more on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report in just a second. The Spurs have well, it's their playoff high for a half in 61. Look at Tony Parker going behind the back to
Ginobili.
It's 61-45.
I told you Ginobili's going to be huge tonight.
He ain't huger than Parker, though.
The 2004 NBA playoffs. Coverage continues on TNT. In the first half of Game 2, the Spurs continued to show why they are the champions. The Lakers Hall of Fame quartet will have to come up with more big plays to make a comeback. Can Tim Duncan and the Spurs hang on and send Shaq and company back to LA down 2-0? The playoff script has more interesting twists as the second half of the Lakers Spurs is about to unfold.
Welcome back to the Alamo City, San Antonio, Texas. The San Antonio Spurs led by as many as 19 points in this first half. They have a 16-point lead at halftime. We welcome you back. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, the Czar, Mike Fratello. And Steve, the story in the first half, the matchup at the point guard position, it was all Tony Parker as we check out the Gatorade X factor of the game.
Well, it was the story of game one. It's the story here so far. Tony Parker just dominating, 8 for 14 shooting for 18 points. And the offense is running through him. He's taking control of this game. As for Gary Payton, more frustration, just unable to get it going.
To look at tonight's Home Depot game summary.
When you look at the numbers between these two teams, clearly you understand that the Lakers are not having a bad half. is shooting 54%. They scored 45 points. But the Spurs are shooting 59%, 50 from the three-point line. They've scored 61 points. Look at the difference in free throw attempts, fast break points 14-4, points off turnovers 14-2. Laker defense porous. They must dig in and get some stops against the Spurs team to have any kind of chance of coming back.
Lakers 8 turnovers in the first half. Spurs with only 2. Let's check it with Craig Sabers.
Well, the Lakers coaching staff did admire Tony Parker's performance in the first quarter. They thought they did a much better job of cutting him off in the second quarter, pointing out that he only had 2 of his 18 in that second quarter. But they're very upset with the offense, turning the ball over 8 times, leading to 14 turnovers, and they said they have to get Kobe involved. He doesn't have to score 30, but he has to get a rhythm and contribute.
Yes, at 18 minutes, only 5 shots for Kobe Bryant. That's number 6, so he's 3 of 6. He has 6 points.
If we ever uttered those words, we have to get Kobe Bryant involved. He's always involved.
Well, there were a couple of games during the regular season.
It's 2 out of 82.
Yeah. Parker getting the step. Rebounded by George. Karl Malone, Shaquille O'Neal, Devin George, up front, Kobe Bryant, Gary Payton. In the backcourt, you see Payton looking to post up, spins by Parker with a beautiful move. And this is the closest the Lakers have been since back in the first quarter. Bowen for 3. Rebounded by George. It's a 12-point game, opening minute, third quarter.
Oh, that last move by Payton, that is where Gary Payton is so used to playing from. They got him down the low post area. He can operate from down there. Here he is again, back to Parker down.
Payton, again, do you think at halftime Phil Jackson said, hey, we have to change our philosophy? Forget about the triangle. Let's have Gary attack.
Oh, it actually is, Steve, as you know, part of the triangle, but Gary remembers it as the old Seattle play.
The 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the NBA playoffs and finals. And by Hyundai. Visit NBA.com and enter to win a new Hyundai Santa Fe. Well, here at the start of the third quarter, a 6-0 run by the Lakers, sparked by Gary Payton.
Well, he has been begging Phil Jackson for weeks to get him the ball down on the post. Lakers start out the half with a straight post-up. That's Gary Payton's game right there. And then you'll see on the second one, he backs Parker down, hits the fadeaway jumper. An adjustment from Phil Jackson, going a little bit away from the triangle, although that second one was part of the offense, but that first one just a straight, flat-out post-up for Gary Payton.
Here's Parker spinning his way, rebounded by O'Neal. Payton rubbing off the pick from Malone. Parker able to stay with him, but again, Payton is posting. And a reaching foul. It is on Tim Duncan.
See, the San Antonio Spurs understand that Tony Parker can't play Payton when he's down that low. Payton's just too big, too strong, so they come with the next man to give help. Here's Duncan trying to stick his hand back in. A little bit of arm. Duncan not real happy with that call.
Second foul on Duncan. The Laker philosophy has been altered here at the start of the third. Payton going at Parker and gives it up. Here's George for 3. The rebound handled by Malone. Gets it inside, and it's deflected, broken up by Duncan.
And Duncan did some job of fighting Shaq from behind that time. Shaq had him pinned deep. Duncan got that arm in there and deflected it out of bounds.
Are you surprised that Phil Jackson didn't do this earlier, either in the playoffs or in the regular season, go to Payton down on that block?
Yeah, because I think Payton has been crying for it for so long now. You know, just crying out like, get me back to doing what I'm comfortable doing so I can help contribute. You know, but Phil, as we heard earlier, made the statement, he's got to adjust to us, not us to him necessarily.
Duncan with a nice drop step move. Tim Duncan is now 5 of 8 from the field. He has 18 points. He had 11 of those points in the second quarter. 63-51, San Antonio. Here's Payton, rebounded by Bowen. Parker on the move for Duncan.
Well, fourth consecutive possession where Payton ends up with a post-up. That time it ends up in a fast break basket the other way for the Spurs. We'll see if Phil Jackson decides to go back to the triangle.
Payton. Here's George for three. Back tap by Malone and deflected. So Bryant can play it in the backcourt. O'Neal getting position and is able to put it down, serving up a facial. Shaquille O'Neal with 20 points.
Well, that's why the offense runs through him. Gary Payton wants the ball, but ultimately, you've got to run things through the big fella.
Duncan. He is fouled. Tim upset with himself that he was not able to score, but he'll go to the line to shoot two. The foul on O'Neal for Shaq, his second.
Now Karl Malone tries to overplay Duncan, can't quite make the steal, and Duncan probably should have finished that one and would be looking for a three-point play here.
Tim is 8 of 12 at the line. Tim Duncan has done the job at the line here tonight, coming off the 4 of 11 in game 1.
Take a look at Duncan's feet. If he gets up onto his heels, if he gets up onto his toes and his heels get off the floor, he's usually in pretty good shape.
There it is.
He has a tendency to flatten those heels sometimes and kind of push the ball without much arc to the rim. That's when he gets in trouble.
And Duncan has all 6 of San Antonio's points in this third quarter. It's a 14-point lead. Bryant attempting the backdoor pass, broken up by Bowen. Turkoglu fires the three. Ito hit a couple of early buckets and then sent down as he picked up a second foul. O'Neal had it poked away. Here's Bryant with the step. Try to go to the reverse. Kept alive by O'Neal, but he stepped out.
Steve, I'm not so sure what the reason is, what the answer is for this, but thus far in tonight's game, Kobe Bryant has taken 8 field goal attempts. This is his 8th attempt right here as he tries to double clutch under the basket, draw the foul, and shoot the ball. Only 8 field goal attempts. In the previous 6 games in the playoffs, Kobe is averaging 21 shots a game. Shaq, 13 field goals a game. Already, Shaq has 14 attempts tonight. Bryant just 8.
Here's Turkoglu for 3.
You think maybe Kobe read the article about Shaq's dad complaining? Probably not.
Oh, I would think he saw it, but he's a guy who's not affected by that kind of stuff, as we have seen as Malone will head to the line.
Of course, remember there was the incident earlier this season when a lot of the Laker players were complaining about Kobe's shot selection. He took 1 shot in the first half the next game against Sacramento, and when asked about it afterwards, he said, hey, Sacramento just played great defense. It's the first time anybody said that all year.
You know, I didn't hear anybody complaining when Kobe made like the long threes to tie those games, send them into overtime against Houston, those types of things, or win games at the buzzer. Then it's okay that he shoots the ball.
Remember last week, Flip Saunders said, you know what, Sam Cassell's going to take some bad shots, but don't complain when he's knocking down 4 or 5 three-pointers in the fourth quarter. I think you've got to live with some bad shots when you have a great player like Cassell or like Kobe Bryant.
Lakers are now 1 of 7 at the line. Karl Malone has not fared well here at the SBC Center, although he is 3 of 5 from the field. He is coming into tonight, hit only 22 of 70 shots in 5 games.
Well, was another guy who's averaged 14 field goal attempts a game thus far in the playoffs.
As Duncan looks to make his move, he is fouled by Malone.
Well, Malone doesn't like it, but you can't do this. You can't have two hands on a guy in his body. That's an easy call for the officials to make.
For Malone's second foul, Turkle with a nice crossover and thought he had a teammate. Manu Ginobili over at the scorer's table being waved on.
What a luxury to be able to bring this guy off the bench. I mean, he'd be starting for most teams in this league and really has, I think, all-star potential. One of the most exciting players in the league, and to be able to bring him off the bench and just change the entire pace of the game, unbelievable luxury for Greg Popovich.
And Steve, when Ginobili came in back in the first quarter, San Antonio at the time led by only 4, and he got them going.
You know, Marv, when they went on the run to bring it up to 18 points, and, you know, near the end of the first half, 3 guys that were on the floor: Parker from France, Nesterovic from Slovenia, and Ginobili from Argentina. 3 of them on the floor at the same time when the Spurs opened it up to 18.
And your point
so is this an idle thought? Yes, we're a little early for the idle thought.
And your point being that excellent international scouting.
Exactly. Yes.
That was
after the players having such an impact.
All right, Bryant able to hit. And the Spurs now lead 67-56. Steve, when you were elsewhere working with Dick Stockton, we had these idle thoughts all over the telephone. He just fires it out. You never know where it's going.
Not just Bud Light idle thoughts, just frequent.
Unsponsored idle thoughts.
Unsponsored idle thoughts. I love it.
Here's Horry for 3. And the ball back to the Lakers. Now Devin Brown being waved on, so he replaces Bruce Bowen. Devin Brown from the University of Texas at San Antonio last season. Spent time with the Spurs and the Nuggets. Been in the development league. Big star in the state of Texas. And Bryant.
Oh, how did he make that?
He got the roll. That was deflected, but Kobe with 10. And it is a 67-58 San Antonio lead. It's down to 9 after they had a 19-point bulge.
We have not seen much from Tony Parker here so far in the second half. Lakers have gotten this game under control.
One thing we have seen is a change because Kobe Bryant is now playing Tony Parker. Little switch that Phil Jackson made.
Bryant being played by Brown. Kobe did not expect that pass, and it carried out of bounds.
Well, Kobe was looking. He had a layup there, but he was not expecting the pass, and you see him running back down the court, shaking his head.
Karl Malone saw the open side of the floor. Karl's so used to playing in that Utah system, he threw the pass where he knew Kobe would be. But Kobe, being used to the triangle, when he hit and went away, he doesn't get a return pass, so he wasn't looking.
Duncan got the step. Looked to be confusion defensively, and Duncan took advantage.
Now, Phil Jackson will have a talk with his team about that confusion defensively.
Oh, he is upset.
I think you see a little respect here because Karl Malone normally would go chin to chest and take the hard foul. This time, Malone goes by him. Duncan finishes it off. The big dunk on the throwback. Parker to Duncan for 2.
Steve, it's inevitable. Tonight's version of Bud Light's Idle Thoughts from the mind of the Czar.
Marv, I was giving thought to the fact that at this time of year, what's it all about? It's all about winning the championship ring.
Oh, is that what
people? Really? Some people are a little more fortunate than others, and to win a championship, sometimes you need the consistency of keeping a staff in place so your assistants aren't taken off all over the place. And it reminded me of Phil Jackson and his assistants. Look at the number of championship rings that they have. Tex Winter 9, Jim Clemens 7, Frank Hamlin 5, Kurt Rambis 1 on the bench. There were 2 other ones that he won when he was in the front office. That shows you that his guys stay with him, and together they have the system in place to win a championship. Now, it also helps to have had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant.
I disagree. I think it was all coaching. I think the staff sticking together is what led to that dynasty.
And that's why I brought it up, Steve.
Not bad. Acceptable. Just under 5 minutes. Remaining in the third, San Antonio with a 69-58 lead. Here's Bryant with the shot clock rolling down and did not make contact with the rim. It's a 24-second violation.
Another example of why it's so tough to come back on this Spurs team. When it comes down to it, they have the ability to lock you up defensively, force turnovers, force bad shots.
Spurs now have Duncan with Ori and Ginobili, Parker and Brown in the backcourt. Payton is back on Parker. George now defending on Ginobili. Ginobili with the step and then lost it. Last touch by the Lakers. We're talking about the confusion defensively a moment ago on the part of the Lakers, and Phil Jackson very upset with Karl Malone, and then Malone went back at Jackson in the huddle. Offensive foul. And that is number 3 on Duncan.
You know what? But that's no big thing what we just saw there. Believe me, every head coach in the league has a time where they have something to say. If we take a look at this replay right there, and you see the block that time, Duncan called for the foul and the turnover. There's always dialogue going on. Coaches get hot, players get hot. I think a coach has to respect the player side of it as well. But if he has something to say back, take it and you move on from there. So that's not like it's the only time it ever happens in this game.
O'Neal able to handle that lob. And obviously the Lakers have that down in contrast to what we saw in the fourth quarter on Sunday.
Well, and you saw that Robert Horry was guarding Shaq because Duncan picked up that third foul, and Shaq has a huge size advantage on Horry. A little easier to pass over him.
Parker, yes. Tony Parker's first field goal in this third quarter. Spurs now lead by 11. Parker has 20 points.
Right now, the idea is to put pressure on the passer. That's why you see Ginobili all over George outside.
See Shaquille O'Neal frustrated as they were swarming all over, that time preventing the lob from getting inside. Parker able to break it down. Oh, what quickness by Tony Parker. Shaq came over, but not in time.
I thought he had Devin Brown open for a jump shot on the fast break, but I guess Tony wanted to run some clock.
Beautiful play. Bryant to O'Neal. Just under 3 minutes remaining in this third quarter. San Antonio up by 11.
The Lakers have been consistent. They've been right around 53, 54% shooting. It's getting the stops at this end of the floor.
Offensive foul on Horry.
Must determine whether or not Malone has position when Horry runs into him, or whether he is still sliding. In the official's opinion, Karl Malone is there when the contact takes place.
Russell Nesterovic is back. Tim Duncan taking a seat.
Well, his feet set there. I don't know if his feet were set. I think Robert Horry may have lowered the shoulder a
That's
little
what
bit.
I think it is, that he lowered that shoulder. Interesting now, because Devin George, you see Ginobili go down, because George has struggled making shots. He's 1 for 4. Phil Jackson's going to Kobe Bryant as the small forward right now.
Nice entry pass as Bryant gets it inside to Malone. We've seen some beautiful passing from Kobe Bryant. Just picked up his 6th assist.
I think for the most part, this second half has been much more to the Lakers' liking in terms of pace.
Here's Parker. A loose ball foul is called. It is on Horry. That's number 4.
This is one of those fouls. It's a hustle play. You've got 3 different players going after the ball right at the sideline as they go after it. There's a little contact as Payton goes down. There is no more force out in the NBA like it used to be years ago, so a foul has to be called.
4th team foul on the Spurs. Lakers now have a backcourt of Fisher and Payton. Payton had it stripped. Parker, things getting very physical out there. No calls. Last touch by Payton. It'll be San Antonio in possession. Now Bruce Bowen will check back in. It has been a low turnover game for the Spurs. They have committed only 5. Lakers with 14. They got themselves in trouble right at the start with a host of turnovers in that first quarter. In fact, 3 of those 5 San Antonio turnovers came by virtue of offensive fouls.
Steve, do you think this move of bringing Bowen back on the floor is because Phil Jackson has put Kobe as a small forward right now, so he wants a better matchup in that spot?
Well, I think you always want to have Bruce Bowen guarding Kobe Bryant if you're Greg Popovich. And he's been on the bench now for a few minutes, so here's his chance.
O'Neal with the block shot. Lakers coming back here in the third quarter as they did on Sunday in game 1. Fisher, yes. The Lakers have hit 7 of the last 9 shots, and they're within 7 after trailing by 19. Reach-in foul on Payton. Trying to knock the ball away, and he made contact.
This is Derek Fisher coming off the bench. He was just inserted into the lineup, gets that screen from Malone, and then right away decides he's going to pull up and shoot it from the middle of the foul line. Big basket for the Lakers.
Yeah, in the past, this is where San Antonio has struggled to score because they've gone exclusively to Duncan. Now with Parker out there, you've got a whole other option to work with.
Duncan nowhere to go. Picked off by Payton. A minute left in the third. And it's a kick ball. Bowen extending his right foot.
Very fortunate, too, because Kobe Bryant was flashing into the post with Tony Parker on his back.
Malone setting the screen. Beautiful pass again from Bryant. Pick and roll executed between Bryant and Malone. 8-0 run by the Lakers. They've outscored the Spurs 23-12 here in the third. They're down by only 5.
Isn't this the same thing that happened last game? That third quarter, the Lakers got himself back in it again, so we're seeing it, except now they're not going to have the lead at the end of the third quarter the way they did last game.
Shot clock to 5. Here is Bowen for 3. Down to 20 seconds remaining in the third. Lakers will hold for a final shot of the quarter. They have cut into that 19-point San Antonio lead. Final seconds of the quarter. Bryant for 3. Payton. After 3, it's the Spurs 73, the Lakers 68, and double technicals have been handed out. Looked like Karl Malone got involved.
I think Karl Malone and Bowen perhaps going chest to chest, bumping into each other.
And apparently only Karl Malone was teed up. It was not a double technical. A tee on Malone to end this third quarter. We'll be back here in San Antonio in a moment. Now look at the Riverwalk. Downtown San Antonio on a hot and humid 76-degree night. We welcome you back, the Lakers and the Spurs in game 2 of this best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal. We're headed to the fourth quarter. Right at the end of the third, Karl Malone was hit with a technical foul as he came together with Bruce Bowen. Apparently there was some contact and Karl was teed up.
I think he may have been just mouthing off to Bowen, and you saw Bowen with his hands up saying, hey, you gonna let this guy do this? Greg Willard says, nope. I'm going to tee you up, Mr. Mailman.
So Devin Brown will shoot the technical 81% at the line during the season, which for a San Antonio Spur is a sparkling number, and hits.
Well, it's slim pickings when there's a technical foul and you're Greg Popovich. Who do you go with Unfortunately, Devin Brown on the floor at the time.
And Devin Brown had gone to the line only 74 times at 60 of 74.
He's 2 for 4 in the playoff games thus far. That's it.
Lakers outscore the Spurs 23-12 in the third. San Antonio scoreless the last 3 minutes of the quarter. Jason Hart laying the point, giving Tony Parker a couple minutes rest. Duncan almost lost it. Here's Duncan, met by Medvedenko, and a kick ball. Once again, a leg block. We were talking earlier about the third quarter comeback by the Lakers on Sunday. They've done it again here tonight, and in game 1. Oh, look out. Bryant tried to strip Ginobili and made contact. That's his 4th foul. But on Sunday, it was a breakdown by the Lakers in the 4th quarter. Lakers turned it over 11 times, leading to 14 San Antonio points. Spurs went on a 19-2 run to pull it out. Here's Duncan.
I would think with this alignment on the floor for San Antonio, we're going to see a steady diet of the ball going into Tim Duncan, because the other guys without Ginobili really aren't guys that are going to get shots. Ginobili can get his own and create.
Alone. Handled by Duncan.
Now we'll see how long Tony Parker is out of this game here in the 4th quarter. You see Jason Hart out on the floor, and until Parker's back, they will continue to just go into Duncan.
Job by Payton and Medvedenko cutting off Ginobili. Shot clock at 5. Nesterovic rebounded by Medvedenko.
And that's the idea. Popovich has this group understanding that we're going to play off for Tim right now until we go back with our full complement of our regulars, our starters.
But you can see how stagnant they can be when they just solely rely on Duncan.
And that's what we said they used to be like.
Bowen made Bryant give it up. There's Kobe with the driving hook. Rebounded by Duncan.
The Lakers have golden opportunity here to get, maybe even get the lead, because they're defending right now. They're locking the Spurs up, but they can't get anything to go at the other end.
Nesterovic with room. Duncan finding a wide open Russell. Nesterovic.
How about the pace of this game, Mike? I mean, with Parker on the bench, everything has just slowed down to a crawl, and I think that's to the Lakers' advantage.
Bryant is fouled by Bowen. Bowen felt that Bryant lost his balance and went down.
You know, one of the most noticeable statistics that jump out at me right now is the Lakers are out rebounding San Antonio 33-25, but fast break points, 16-4 advantage at San Antonio. The Lakers just can't get any easy points out in the open floor. One of the reasons, they don't run hard. They run like to the three-point line. They don't run for layups down the floor, and they don't really have a push guy that accelerates the way Parker can.
Shaquille O'Neal is back, coming on for Karl Malone. Shaq has hit 10 of his last 11 shots. Down to 5 on the clock. O'Neal making 11 of his last 12, 26 points for Shaq.
He is rolling tonight in great position and looking active and aggressive.
Jason Hart rebounded by O'Neal.
O'Neal went after that rebound. It was a good 6 feet off the side of the rim to the right. He went and got it, saved it, and Lakers with another possession.
3 minutes gone by in the 4th quarter. O'Neal again. The 19-point lead is down to 4, and Greg Popovich wants to talk it over. 28 points for Shaquille O'Neal.
They go back to the opposite side of the floor. Instead of low left, they get Shaq the ball, medium right post. He turns to the right shoulder, inside, hits the jumper.
What's cold? Coors Light, fast breaks and steals. What's cold? 3-on-1, that's when the game get real. What's cold? Slapping backboards, dunking and breaking glass. No look passes, throwing elbows and talking trash. If you weak, then have a seat. You need to get off the court. Life's cold, but ain't no place for you in this here sport. Ice cold, frost bitten and shivering. It's cold like that, and you could either watch it or live it.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
You can give Mom her favorite fragrance or fragrances. You can treat her to a day at the spa every day. Or you...
We're looking at Dr. Jerry Buss, longtime owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he has enjoyed this comeback by his team down by as many as 19. This is the closest it has been since the early moments when the Spurs had a 9-6 lead.
Well, thanks to Shaquille O'Neal, who has really taken over this game. You see the spin move and the dunk, another dunk off the nice feed, and then a little jump hook in the lane. He has been terrific tonight. 14 out of 18 from the field. Just dominating play here in the second half.
And a look at the, as they say here, the Fab Four. Shaquille O'Neal has come up big with 28 points. And Kobe Bryant with 10 points, but he does have 7 assists. Gary Payton showing some signs in the second half after he was severely outplayed in the first half by Tony Parker.
I think this fourth quarter, the remainder of the fourth, sets up nicely for Kobe. Beautiful backdoor feed from Nesterovic to Ginobili. I think it sets up nicely because he hasn't been worn out by shooting and being worked by Bowen as he was in game one. He seems rested and probably ready to take over this game if they choose for him to do so.
Bryant 5 for 13 from the field. Not been forcing the issue. Here's Fisher, Derek Fisher. He's come off the bench to hit on 4 of 6. He has 9 points. Spurs 78, Lakers 74. Nesterovic out to set the screen and roll. Nesterovic is fouled. Shaquille O'Neal saying clean block, but he picks up his 3rd personal.
Shaq comes after this one, blocks it with his right hand. There's the pick and roll. Now from behind, there's Shaq with the block. Perfect inside arm, takes it across, right to left, avoids the body contact. The official in the slot that time, Greg Willard, thought he saw contact, called the foul.
I thought he got him on the head. Did you see Nesterovic's head? No, I thought he caught him with the elbow on his head as he went for the block.
Oh, man. Nesterovic, a 47% free throw shooter, way off. A reminder, don't miss Braves TBS Baseball Friday Night Extra this Friday night. Braves take on the Houston Astros. Ron Gant will join the guys in the booth as guest analyst. Braves Friday Night Extra this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Off the follow. Tony Parker has 24 points.
Credit that one to Ginobili, who stuck his arm there, kept it alive, and then sometimes you get the lucky bounce right to Parker and in.
That's the danger, too. When you have a bad foul shooter at the line, frequently there are long rebounds and funny bounces. Spurs taking advantage there.
I know Ginobili hearing the cheers from this crowd as once again he got his hands on the ball, a deflection to break up the Laker rhythm.
You must understand that when Ginobili is guarding you and you go to try to post up, you have to hold your post up and come and meet the ball because he'll always gamble and not let you catch it, but he'd rather go for the steal and guess where the passer's going to throw it.
O'Neal kept alive by Malone. Bryant leading down low to shot. 30 points for Shaquille O'Neal. He's 15 of 20 from the field. Lakers are within 4. Turkoglu for 3. Shaq with his 12th rebound. We look back at the regular season. Lakers went 56 and 26. They won the Pacific Division. They finished strong. They won 14 of the last 17. Remember, they went through that bad period after the good start. They were 18 and 3 at one stretch. Nesterovic breaking up that pass.
There are those turnovers again that plagued the Lakers in the fourth quarter of game number 1.
And Popovich can't believe the shot that Manu Ginobili just attempted. Early in the shot clock, you got Duncan posted up down low. Poor selection there by Manu Ginobili.
Bryant to the crossover. Ginobili would not go for the fake. O'Neal with a good catch. It counts, and the foul. And Nesterovic shaken up. Now they say, let's see, Greg Willard with the indication.
No basket.
No basket.
Saying that the foul took place while Shaq was on the ground before he went up to try and finish that one off. Look, there's the front. Contact. Officials are saying that the basket does not count because it was not in the act of shooting.
Phil Jackson says, now you call it. You know, well, why call it then when Shaq has perfect position and has the opportunity to go up for the dunk?
Back in San Antonio, Texas, the 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT is brought to you by Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Cold down easy. By Radio Shack. You've got questions, they've got answers. By Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. This Friday, adventure lives forever. And by the new Sprite remix, Very Clear. Reminder, Friday night on ESPN, Game 2 between the Nets and the Pistons. Coverage starting 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Nets looking to turn it from that 78-56 loss in Game 1 at the Palace. Sunday on ABC, Spurs and the Lakers. Game 3 of this series, which coverage starting at the 3:30 Eastern Time. Lawrence Frank, the head coach of the Nets, said he watched the tape on the plane going from Detroit to New Jersey as Kobe Bryant is able to cut it to a 2-point lead, and then he stayed up all night just to figure out what happened as he watched the tape of the telecast. He said he thought the production was good. The color commentary, though, was really off.
I was not there.
No, you were not.
Remind everybody.
It was bizarre. They double up on Duncan. Here is Turkoglu for 3. Yes!
Boy, what a huge shot for the Spurs, who have just been dominated in this second half, shooting only 35%. Lakers at 58, and enormous rebounding advantage, 19-5 for the Lakers here in the second half. So LA really getting control.
Kobe Bryant right back. San Antonio up by 3. Lakers try to tie the series at 1 as it heads back to Staples in LA. San Antonio looking to reserve home court advantage with a 2-0 lead. Parker draws the foul. It's on Fisher.
And the Spurs go right back to that screen and roll, putting Shaquille O'Neal in the position of having to cover the perimeter. And that's, again, where most NBA teams like to attack the Lakers.
It'd be interesting to keep a chart on how many pick and rolls Shaq has put in during the course of a game by San Antonio, and they're not the only ones to do it. Let's face it, a number of teams, that's their game plan going in during the course of the evening.
Parker at the line for the first time tonight. He is a 70% free throw shooter. San Antonio now 15 of 25.
That puts him in the top half of the class of Spurs free throw shooters.
85-80, San Antonio. Coming up on 5 minutes remaining in the fourth. Bryant played by Bowen. Bowen has 4 fouls, and he's done an excellent job on Kobe Bryant. Bryant has to force. Rebounded by O'Neal.
I'm not sure Shaq knew how much time was left. He had 23 seconds left on the 24-second clock. He didn't really have his balance.
Bowen. They swing it. Parker. To Nesterovic, and he's fouled by O'Neal. For Shaq, it is number 4.
Great patience by the Spurs offensively, moving the ball around and finally ending up with the penetration of Tony Parker, who turns the corner and makes a beautiful feed here around and underneath several Laker defenders, and Nesterovic just can't finish. Good foul by Shaq, because now you got a 47% foul shooter trying to convert.
Yeah. A 47% free throw shooter who was way off on his 2 previous attempts. This one right on. Rusho Nesterovic signed with the Spurs as a free agent after 5 years with Minnesota. Out of Slovenia, 27 years old. Now Manu Ginobili has come on for Hedo Turkoglu. Leaves with 7 points.
Okay, Hedo, get in that game, make a big 3-point shot for us, and then we've got a sub for you right now because we got to get Manu back on the floor. Fill your role, do your job. That's what it's all about.
And he does just that. The quickness of Ginobili getting to the loose ball.
That's the second offensive rebound off of a missed foul shot by Nesterovic for the Spurs. 2 huge plays in this 4th quarter.
Duncan played by O'Neal. Shaq has 4 fouls. And that's a traveling violation. Tim Duncan is claiming the ball was deflected.
Let's take a look at the replay. Duncan complaining. He says he got the ball knocked out of his hands. If that's the case, he did, but it still looked like a travel, didn't it? Because he regained control of the ball and then looked like he shuffled his feet afterwards.
Are you asking me for compassion on this one? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just wondering what you thought of the play.
Right. Just looking for an opinion.
That's what you're here for.
Czar has nothing to offer.
As usual.
4 minutes remaining in the 4th. George for 3. Rebounded by Duncan. Parker pulls it back.
George having a tough night, Marv. 1 for 5 from the floor.
Parker being played now by George. Oh, look at the crossover. And the teardrop. What a move by Tony Parker, who was met by Shaquille O'Neal.
You gotta watch the dribble move right here by Tony Parker to get himself along the baseline. It's the quick crossover. He's waiting, he backs it up, and just when you think he's lulling you to sleep, he looks away, crosses over, and gets it up over the top of Shaquille O'Neal. And here's the big man congratulate the little man. Big fundamental, little fundamental.
Oh, man. Back in San Antonio a moment ago, we saw one of the extraordinary moves or series of moves on the season. On Marine's teamwork play of the game.
Well, you saw Tony Parker that time. He played possum, made it look like he was coming back out with the ball, crossed over and finished it. Tony Parker getting the big celebration from Tim Duncan. Parker right now in 37 minutes, 12 for 21 from the floor for 28 points.
Now that little floater that he finished that play with is a move that young players have to master if they're going to play well in the NBA, because the trees around the basket don't let you get to the rim.
Chant of defense from this capacity crowd, better than 18,000 on hand. Shot clock down to 6. That's a forced shot and handled by Bowen.
That's just a bad shot by Derek Fisher. There's no need for that shot. There's plenty of time for another pass. You're in an 8-point game.
You got Shaq at 15 for 21. Get him the ball.
Down to 3 minutes to play. Off the pass by Ginobili. Bryant comes up with it. Here is Payton for 3. Duncan bothered him from behind. In fact, Payton thought he was clipped, thought he was fouled.
I thought he was fouled, too. It looked like Duncan hit him right on the arm.
Shot clock to 7. Down to 3. Duncan. Spurs 88, Lakers 80. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. San Antonio looking to go 2 up on the Lakers. Lakers hoping to tie the series at 1 as they head back to Staples in LA. Here's Bryant, draws the foul.
Boy, is he something.
That's the attack mode you want. Kobe's going in there to draw contact and try and finish it at the same time.
I think the reason they go to Kobe here is because, first of all, he's incredible, probably the best one-on-one player in the world. And look, he's going against one of the best defenders in the world, gets to the rim. But the reason you go to Kobe in this situation, don't go to Shaq. Spurs got to foul him, don't they? I think you go to that foul hack-a-Shaq situation if you're Greg Popovich.
The Lakers are 2 of 9 at the line. Bryant at the line for the first time. It's been a very quiet game for Kobe. Only 14 points. He does have 8 assists, but has not been a factor.
That was Kobe's first free throw attempt. And coming in, he was shooting 91% coming into the game for the entire playoffs. He goes 1 out of 2.
So the Spurs now lead at 88-81.
That's been the story of the game for the Spurs. 28 free throw attempts to just 10 for LA.
Tony Parker with 28 points, 1 shy of his playoff career high. Rebounded by O'Neal, and he's fouled by Ginobili. That's a non-shooting foul. 4th team foul called on the Spurs. It'll be Laker ball with 1:54 to go. In this 4th quarter, they're down by 7.
They'll look for another one-on-one situation between Kobe Bryant and Bruce Bowen at some point in this possession.
Backdoor pass for Bryant. And a foul as Shaq is vying for the rebound. Bruce Bowen has played Kobe Bryant exceptionally well.
I thought the Lakers did a beautiful job here of counteracting Bowen's pressure, because you know he's going to be up into Bryant. So what do? You run a backdoor cut, getting Kobe to the rim, and then Shaq trying to finish the play. We'll see if he can knock down a free throw or 2 here.
He is 0 for 3 at the line. His previous free throws taking place in the first half.
It just looks like a struggle coming out of his hand, that shot.
It was not pretty.
Well, he hits both.
Give him credit. He knocked him down when it counted.
Game 1, he was 3 of 13 at the line. It's a 5-point San Antonio lead. 1.5 to play in the 4th. Ginobili extends to a 90-83 San Antonio lead.
You know what makes Ginobili so great? 1 second you're saying, oh no, what a terrible shot he just took. The next second you say, what a huge shot he just made.
All right, O'Neal is fouled by Nesterovic. Ginobili now 6 of 8 from the field.
Ginobili sees that on the switch, or when he drives down to the baseline, now Shaq picks him up. So first he sizes it up, tries to decide whether he should drive by him. When Shaq backs off, he doesn't hesitate 1 second, pulls the trigger, knocks it down, and then Shaq getting ready to finish it off. Hard foul that time by Nesterovic to send him to the line.
Nesterovic very fortunate that Shaq wasn't able to finish that play. Looked like he had a lane to the hoop. Maybe he took an extra dribble or an extra pivot. I thought he could have gone straight up and dunked that ball.
Shaq 2 of 6 at the line. Nesterovic picking up his 5th foul. He sits down, replaced by Ori, and this time Shaq whiffs on both.
And that's the trouble if you're the Lakers, if you're Phil Jackson. Down the stretch, Shaq, yes, he's the most dominant player in probably NBA history, but you just can't count on him from the free throw line.
Parker fires. Yes, that's a playoff career high for Tony Parker. He has 30 points. Timeout. Lakers.
From the beginning of the game, with a few exceptions, the Lakers have made the commitment to go under the screen. Watch Fisher go under the screen. Parker gets an open look, tees it up. It's almost as if they're saying, we don't think you can make it. His teammates know he certainly can.
If you could do it all over again, would you?
You got old razors, Rogaine. You use Rogaine? I didn't know you.
It's preventative.
But is your hair falling?
I don't want to talk about it!
In a New York minute.
We are down to 1:03 remaining in this 4th quarter. Lakers have a 20-second Timeout, San Antonio, 2 full and a 20. The next foul, either club puts them in the penalty. 9-3 run by the Spurs, taking command here down the stretch the last 4.5 minutes. Lakers without a field goal. They've managed just 3 points. San Antonio Spurs gunning for a 17th straight win. They won the last 11 of the regular season, trying to make it 6 out of 6 in the playoffs. They swept Memphis, looking to go 2-0 on the Lakers. They have not lost since March the 23rd at Minnesota. 17 straight would tie a franchise record. Back in 95-96 in the regular season, they won 17 in a row. And the Spurs have a 9-point advantage. Horry overplaying Malone, and that puts San Antonio over the foul line.
Talk about why some teams can execute down the stretch in close games and win them. Oftentimes it comes down to your ability to make big shots. Think about this for San Antonio. Turkoglu comes in the game, trains the big three-pointer. He goes to the bench. Ginobili hits the big deuce against Shaq, and then Parker hits the next one. So you pick up 7 huge points coming down the last 2 minutes when you have to have them because guys have the ability to make shots.
Now Luke Walton, who is not played at all, will come on for the first time. Eric Fisher sits down, as does Shaquille O'Neal. This will be an offensive and defensive shuffle by Phil Jackson.
And the Spurs, obviously a very poor foul shooting team, so look for the Lakers to make a quick foul. Parker's probably the guy who will have the ball in his hands, although they'd like Ginobili at the line.
Lakers only 6 of 15 at the foul line. So Malone hits on both. 8-point San Antonio lead. Here is Turkoglu taking it to the rim.
Well, that's what you do. Don't bother going to the foul line. Just score a basket instead.
94-85. Bryant able to recover. Played tightly by Ginobili. Walton. Bryant tried to deliver down low. Crowd looking for a traveling violation on Kobe, and a foul was called again on the Spurs.
Mike, you talked about guys hitting shots, and I think one of the reasons the Spurs have players who can hit shots now is that they're so different offensively against the Lakers than they were a couple of years ago when they had guys like myself or Danny Ferry, Steve Smith, outside shooters, standstill guys. They're so much more dynamic. They have so many different ways they can go, and there's so much more penetration that leads to open shots. They don't just rely on the post-ups of Tim Duncan anymore.
Luke Walton, a 71% free throw shooter during the season. Kareem Rush checks back in. Now, Shaq in the past is a guy who said, you know, I always hit my free throws when it's important, but this is where bad foul shooting kills in a close ball game. And these are 2 outstanding teams that cannot shoot free throws.
Well, they pretty much all count last time I checked.
They're on their feet here at the SBC Center in San Antonio. Spurs up 94-85. Ginobili with the shot clock running down draws the foul. So he'll go to the line.
You notice one big difference tonight. Kobe Bryant last game had 31 points. A key for Kobe, 9 for 10 from the foul line in game number 1. Tonight, Kobe Bryant, 7 for 17 from the floor. He has 15 points, but only 2 free throw attempts tonight for Kobe.
And a very similar finish to game 2 that we had in game 1. Lakers make the huge run in the third quarter. Spurs regain control in the fourth with great defense and probably some poor execution by LA in the fourth.
Standing ovation for Tony Parker, who may have played the game of his NBA life. He's had some big ones this season. A playoff career high, 30 points, 13 of 23 shooting. Here's Walton firing. Final seconds. The San Antonio Spurs have made it 17 consecutive wins. 6 straight in the playoffs. They take a 2-0 lead in the best of 7. on the Los Angeles Lakers with the series resuming in L.A. Sunday afternoon. Tony Parker, the high man, with 30. Tim Duncan at 24. Manu Ginobili with 15 points. Outstanding game for Shaquille O'Neal with 32 on 15 of 21 shooting, along with 15 rebounds, and Kobe Bryant just 15 points, along with 8 assists. Let's go to Craig.
Well, the Spurs have taken a 2-0 lead because the Lakers do not have an answer for Tim Duncan nor Tony Parker. The second game in a row they've combined for over 50 points. You had 30 in the first one. Talk about how much easier this game has been with Tony Parker on your team.
He's been great. He's been taking over in games, and it's so great to have that beside me. He's been shooting the ball real well, being real aggressive, and he's taking over games at times.
You had that 16-point first quarter. The Lakers thought they'd maybe found a way to stop you, cutting down your lanes. But again, in the second half, you took over. Talk about the play of the game. They cut the lead to 3. You guys go on a 5-0 run. You have the crossover and then the floater over Shaq.
I just try to be aggressive. That's the main thing. I'm in attack mode, and I just want to get some stuff for me or stuff for my teammates. You know, I got a lot of confidence, and I want to keep playing aggressive.
Down the stretch in past years, the philosophy was always give it to Tim Duncan down in the post. You had some great shooters, one of them sitting over there in our announce booth, and Steve Kerr. But how many more weapons do you have this year?
How many more what?
Weapons you guys have offensively.
We've got so many more guys. So effective. We got Manu and Hito, and Rocher's been playing so well, and of course this guy. So we can move the ball around. We get our shooters open shots that can knock them out for us.
Does it seem like you haven't lost a game since March 23rd?
No, we're not thinking about that. We just want to win the next one.
All right, thanks. All right, great job. Thank you, Mark.
All right, thank you, Craig. The last defeat suffered by the Spurs at Minnesota. Final score was 86-81, and since then it's 17 consecutive victories and a 2-0 lead in this best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal. Thanks to our producer Scooter Bertino and our director Renato Lowe, production assistants Rickson Frampton and Dave Schwab, our statistician Brian Taylor. Again, the final here tonight: Spurs 95 and the Lakers 85. The 2004 NBA playoffs continue tomorrow here on TNT. It's game 1 between the Heat and the Pacers. Coverage starting 9 o'clock Eastern time. And coming up next, it's Inside the NBA. They'll have post-game reaction from here in San Antonio. For the Czar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, and Craig Sager, this is Marv Albert saying good night from the River City, San Antonio, Texas. You've been watching the 2004 NBA playoffs on TNT, the exclusive home of the Western Conference Finals. Now to our studios in Atlanta. Let's go to Ernie, Kenny, and Charles.